Hi there, welcome back to the 67 Hail channel with me, Hamish. We've got Messrs McGinley and McNamara joining me for the final time, I think, guys. The season is over, thankfully. Fair dragged in the end, but it is over now. John Kennedy has almost certainly managed his final game at Celtic. He may continue at the club. Time will tell. Jackie, what's the kind of overall thoughts on John Kennedy's time at the club? Difficult situation for him to come into. Things he could have done better there as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think a tough job, just because of the uncertainty with Neil. And everybody's looking for a new manager to come in, and obviously you're taking the team and doing all the try to keep everybody calm and get teams ready. And there was still important games in there, like the cup game. I thought was crucial for him, which obviously didn't go well. Yeah, I think he'll be obviously immensely proud that he had the opportunity to manage Celtic, like a lot of people would. But it was under difficult circumstances, and I don't think he made a huge impact in that role.
Yeah, that's the biggest complaint I've got, John, is that he didn't put his own stamp on the team. For me, it was just a continuation of Neil Lennon's team. Put it this way, if you were to have just seen that performance at Hibs and the two performances at Ibrox, and someone was to have asked you who was the manager that day, you would have said, based on the first half of the season, Neil Lennon's still managing that team.
Yeah, that's the big frustration for me. I think that the situation you can most closely compare it to is actually probably when Lennon was kind of first appointed manager on an interim basis after the Tony Mowbray stuff. And then, I know we lost the semi-final in the closing stages of that year against Ross County, but I think Neil Lennon won every single league match in that year. And John Kennedy just hasn't had that same kind of impact. Again, it's a very difficult situation for him, but I'm not sure what he's done at all to this team that would have been different from the Lennon reign, which is pretty damning to some extent for me, because I think he had an opportunity to perhaps play more fringe players, more young players, and it just doesn't come off for him. And it's not as if because he's playing the senior players or the regulars that we've had better results than we might have, because I don't think that's the case either. I mean, our away form's been dreadful since February, so it's a shame, because I think it's really tarnished his reputation with the support, and he's been at the club for a long time.
Yeah, we kind of had a debate on the post-match reaction after the Hibs game, and we'd kind of switched places, hadn't we, John, with regards to whether we felt Kennedy should be part of the next Celtic regime. Jackie, having seen Kennedy managing the team over the last couple of months, has your view changed on whether he should still be part of the next managerial team at the club?
No, I don't think it really matters. Even if he'd won every game and done it there, then you'd have a different problem. You'd have a problem there that he thinks he should have the job. And somebody else coming in, and I think that's also difficulty when a new manager comes in. It's the experience there that sometimes can be difficult, because they've had a taste of it. And they want that again. They want to be the one. And I'm sure John will have thoughts about going on himself now, and like it has in the past. He's been linked to a few jobs. I remember it was the Hibs job that he was linked to going there, and one or two others. I think it was Dundee United. So maybe at this stage in his career, he want to go and learn and go and be a manager himself in his own right, rather than being under the shadows again, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny's been at the club for how long? He's been at the club in various...
Since 1998, really. I think he signed on the same day as a youth player with Stephen McManus. Came through the youth ranks, made a burst into the first team, as Jackie will remember, and then obviously had his injury problems. But the club have stuck by him and nurtured his development as a coach and as someone who thinks and can be active within football circles. But at the moment, it just feels like we're at the end of the relationship between any role at the club for me at the moment. I mean, I'd like to see him go off and improve himself elsewhere, maybe take his first steps into management somewhere. Jackie, when you were considering becoming a coach and a manager, how important was it for you to get, a job early? You went to Partick Thistle, obviously. Did you want to start off management quite quickly on your own and be your own man from the off?
Yeah, and I think to learn. I think the biggest thing is to learn. When you've not got a lot of resources and budgets and everything else, you need to try and grow it. You need to try and develop yourself. And my first job, we got a lot of players that were released from clubs to do it that way because they didn't have the resources, and it forces you more to actually maybe try and teach rather than just turning up and think you've got the finished article. And I think you can see a lot of that. Obviously at Celtic, you're buying players for a few £1 million. You think that they know their jobs and where they should be and different things, but it's clearly not been the case with some of them. They need developing again. So I'm sure for me it was just an opportunity to get started. Obviously it went well. It took a bit of time. I went to Dundee United and sort of done the same there again. And in that 2.5-year spell that I had, I always wanted to, a bit like my playing career, I always wanted to then go higher and go bigger. And it was difficult because the club had inherited debt before we went in there, and the different circumstances for doing that. So it is tough, but it's a good way of learning. It's a good way of learning. You've not got everything else. You need to, rather than delegate and go and get everybody else to make sure they're fit to do everything else, you've got to do more. And it's a good way of starting out, and it helps you appreciate things when you do get more resources.
Do you think it's realistic for Kennedy to get a job now in, say, the Championship or the lower half of the Premiership? Will this have damaged his credentials any kind of, because he's not done well at Celtic? So does that kind of take the kind of curiosity away from whether he's going to be a good manager or not?
No, I think it's it'd be the same if someone came in temporary to the end of the season we didn't know. You're judged on things you do yourself and your players you bring in and the recruitment. And I do think he would get, if that's what he wants, he would get another shot somewhere at a different level, and try and establish himself and give himself a real platform to show what he can do.
What's the gut reaction then, guys? Is he going to be at the club next season, Jackie?
I've got a feeling he will. It's like everyone else. We're kind of waiting to find out what is going on. There's that many roles that need replacing. They could fit in quite a few roles going into the club. But you said it's been a tough learning curve for him. But this year and there at next season, he has been linked with different roles, hasn't he, over the last sort of couple of months. So I'd be surprised if he left this summer, unless I think he's leaving to go and take a job himself. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be sacked or anything. I just can't see Celtic doing that. So I think it could be a case where he does, ostensibly stay on, but is probably looking for other opportunities, and maybe in 6 months, 8 months down the line, then he says goodbye to take up his own role somewhere else. That's the way I see it panning out. I think there is some sort of value having him there as a transitional figure, but the fans need a clean slate, and for me, it's about as much about bringing energy and a new ways of thinking to the club than it is anything against Kennedy, and I think the fans are just looking for that for me at the moment.
Well, even with the players as well, I'm sure they've been calling him Gaffer for the last little bit of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody else comes in and he's still part of that. It does confuse a little bit to have that relationship with certain players and maybe not the same relationship with others. It does give you little problems inside. But I'm sure, as I said, I've seen it for a few weeks now, but a lot of things going on behind the scenes now that hopefully they will be in place very soon.
Hamish, have you still got your Eddie Howe mug in the background somewhere?
It's not arrived yet, actually. Jackie, I ordered an Eddie Howe mug genuinely on whenever it was, Saturday morning. I think I'd had a few to drink, and I shouldn't say Saturday morning, I had a few to drink. It was Friday night, and I bought it because I thought might as well treat myself, might as well have a wee laugh in the channel. So if it isn't Eddie Howe, then I'm down about 25 quid.
Well, I hope Eddie's here before your mug, so it looks good.
Yeah, there's a joke in there somewhere about more trophies or more cups than Celtic won this season, but I'll leave that for others to make. Right, in terms of Eddie Howe and John Kennedy, impossible question time, John. Do you think Eddie Howe wants John Kennedy at the club?
I mean, it's like, you can't answer the question without speaking to Eddie Howe. I mean, by all accounts, he's looking to bring in his own backroom staff and has his own unit of people that he likes to work with. I mean, that's the chat and the rumours doing the rounds between the journalists and the fans and God knows what else. There's just so many rumours flying about that you don't know what to make of them, really. But, I think it's less about Kennedy being a coach and perhaps him having some sort of other role at the club, perhaps working with the incoming director of football or the incoming sporting director and helping them settle into the role and get them up to speed with the different departments of the club. I could see him being a figure like that. But as for working with the first team, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Eddie Howe does tend to bring his own people with him wherever he goes, and that is something that we could have to, look out for, whether he has any sort of continuity staff at the club. Gavin Strachan, I would certainly think, wouldn't probably be at the club, and again, similar to John Kennedy, you wonder if he's scarred too much from this season in terms of his reputation with the fan base to be any sort of success even under Eddie Howe next year. Time will tell, I guess, guys. We'll have to wait a wee while and see what's going to happen. Hopefully a week today, maybe. That's the date I've penciled in
for months now, Hamish.
May the 24th, the Eddie Howe party. I've penciled it in, guys. You're all invited, and so is everyone watching this as well. Just remember to subscribe to the channel. We will be back later in the week. We're going to have another video with us three. Until then, take care and hail, hail.